Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. Yesterday, we have started the chapter 2, that is, Era of One Party Dominance. And this chapter is about the second challenge which India was facing at the time of independence. And this challenge was the setting up of democratic government in India. And in this regard, the first step was the was to conduct the free and fair election. And in this regard, we have seen that so many challenges were there in front of the Election Commission of India. For example, delimitation of the boundaries of the constituencies, then the preparation of the electoral rolls, and all these posed a lot of challenge. Besides, India was a poor country and a country full of we can say it was there was a very less rate of literacy. So the country was poor and illiterate people were there. So there were many people who were of the opinion that India will not be able to conduct a free and fair election. The people will not be able to use the right to vote in a proper manner. And as we have seen that there were many people who said that it was a just like a gamble, and Nehru is going to witness the uh, failure of the universal adult franchise. In their opinion, it was a fault, it was a blunder on the part of the constitution makers to give right to vote to all the people, all the adult citizens of the country. And they were of the opinion that India will not be able to handle all these things. But all these statements have been proved wrong, because for the last 70 years all the people are participating in the election, they are exercising their right to vote in a very responsible manner. And we have proved ourselves one of the most successful democracies of the world. So here in this picture we can see that it is a cartoonist impression of the election committee formed by Congress to choose party candidates. Um, from every constituency, what happens that all the political parties choose party candidate, and in this regard, whoever is chosen as a party candidate is given the ticket of the party. So this is the election committee of the Congress party, which is there to decide who will be given the ticket, who will be chosen as a party candidate in 1952. So in 1952 elections. So in the middle we can see this is Pandit Nehru, and Sardar Patel is also there. Then Morarji Desai and Kidwai is also there, Dr. B.C. Rai. So all the important leaders of the Congress were there in the election committee of the Congress. So now we will see how the method of voting has changed over the years. At present, when if you got to, if you got the opportunity to exercise your right to vote, or your parents or your relatives must be using this right to vote, and they give their vote through EVMs, electronic voting machines. And these electronic voting machines, in these machines, we have there is names of the candidate is written, and symbol is also there. And the voter is supposed to just press the button which is given in front of all the candidates. So It has now become very easy. Counting, it has helped in counting very much. Nowadays, counting has become a very easy task. And when there was ballot paper was used for the purpose of voting, in that voting, what happened that each voter was given a blank ballot paper, and in this ballot paper it looks like that. Um, mm, this is the picture of the image of the ballot paper. In this we can see, on the one hand it is written the name of the candidate, and on the other hand the party to which these candidates are belonging, the symbol of that party is given. So it is the voter has to uh, give its each voter was given a blank ballot paper which they had to drop into the box of the candidate they wanted to vote for. All the candidates have their ballot boxes in the polling area, and the candidates and the voters uh, drop the box in that candidates which they wanted to vote for. So in this way voting was done, and in the first election about 20 lakh steel boxes were used for this purpose. And in this type of voting, what happened that the counting was a very tedious job, because it need a lot of time, and accuracy was also required. And there used to be for the counting of one constituency, for the counting of the votes of one constituency, there was need of 2 to 3 days, then only the result can come. But nowadays we can see that when the elections are held through EVMs, it has become very easy. Now the counting takes only few hours, and the result is declared on the same day when the counting starts. So this has become easy, but nowadays there is another challenge, we can say challenge, because many opposition parties are alleging that are charging that this EVM is use of EVM is not transparent, it is tempered. So there is such allegations are there, and these allegations are true or false, nothing can be said about it. So these are the challenges every time we face some or the other challenges in the real life, and this is very much important for you. By 2004, the entire country had shifted to EVM. Okay, so the EVM started to be used by the end of 1990s, but by the year 2004, in the complete country, this EVM was started to be used. Okay, now we will see the first election of India. It was assumed that the election will be started in the year 1950 only, but it had to be postponed twice, because the preparation was not could not be completed, and the date which were announced, that had to be postponed two times. And finally it started from October 1951, and it lasted till February 1952. And we refer this election as 1952 election because in most part of the country, the voting was held in January 1952. Okay, so it is called 1952 election. It took 6 months for the campaigning, polling, and counting to be completed. All the activities which are associated with the election. For example, campaigning, then polling and counting. All these activities took 6 months to complete. Elections were competitive. There were on an average more than four candidates for each seat from each constituency. At least it was an average number. At least four candidates were there from each constituencies. Okay. The level of participation was encouraging. More than half the eligible voters turned out to vote on the day of election. So, what was the percentage of voting? It was more than half, 50% से ज़्यादा, 52, 53, 54% voting हुई थी, and this much of vote was encouraging because in many developed countries also this this much percentage of voting is considered enough. So 50 more than 50% of the voting was done, and as it was the first election, so it was considered satisfactory. When the results were declared, these were accepted as fair even by the losers. So in a democracy, what is important? The important thing is uh, that the candidate who has lost the election must accept the result of the election. If he is not accepting the result of the election, and if he is alleging that something wrong, some unwanted, unfair means has been adopted by the ruling party, then it is not a good indicator. For a free and fair election, it is a good indicator that the candidate who has lost the election has also accepted the result. So, the Indian experiment had proved the critics wrong, which we discussed earlier, that there were many people, there were many critics who were thinking that Indians will not be able to use their right to vote in a responsible manner. All these critics proved wrong when the result of the election was declared. The Times of India held that the polls have confounded all those skeptics who thought the introduction of adult franchise too risky an experiment in this country. So there were many people who were of the view that our constitution makers should not have given this right to vote to all the people because it can be very dangerous. But all these feelings were defeated, and the result of the election, the all the process of the election went so smoothly that India has proved itself. Now the Hindustan Times claimed that there is universal agreement that the Indian people have conducted themselves admirably in the largest experiment in democratic election in the history of the world. India is the largest democracy of the world. Largest in the sense that it is the second most populous country, and the first most populous country, that is China, is not a democratic country. So India is the largest democracy in the world, and it is the people of the India have exercised their right to vote in a very beautiful manner, and it proved this largest experiment in democratic elections in the history of the world is correct. So, this was the opinion of Hindustan Times. Then, observers outside India were equally impressed. India's general election of 1952 became a landmark in the history of democracy all over the world. It was a it proved to be a landmark because after so many years of colonial rule, and in spite of being poor, in spite of being illiterate, India conducted its first election in a very responsible manner, in a very admirable manner, and because of this, it was considered as a landmark in the history of democracy. Because we have discussed earlier also that so many countries got independence after the Second World War, and they also struggled for the establishment of democracy. Democracy was their goal also, but they could not follow the democratic principles because of so many challenges the newly independent countries were facing at that time. So, in this situation, it was a great achievement for India to conduct the election successfully. And the results were also came out, and all the parties, all the candidates accepted the result in a equal manner. So this was the success of India. This was the success of democracy. So now it was proven that in spite of poverty, in spite of lack of education, democratic election can also be held. It is not necessary that a country need to be rich, a country need to be literate for the successful conduction of the election. So, in the experience of Indian election proved that democratic election could be held in conditions of poverty or lack of education also. It proved that democracy could be practiced anywhere in the world. Nothing can obstruct the path of democracy if the leaders as well as the people have a real desire to set up the democratic government. So it was proven from the Indian experiment. Now we will see Congress dominance in the first three general election. So what we see that the freedom struggle of India was fought in the leadership of Congress. Congress was the only organized party at that time when India became independent, and this dominant position of Congress was reflected in the results of the first three general elections. Everyone was knowing that everyone was aware of the result of the first general election even before the results were declared. The Indian National Congress was expected to win this election. Everyone was expecting that Congress will win the election, and that only happened. The Congress Party, as it was popularly known, had inherited the legacy of the national movement. Why Congress Party? It was expected by the people that the Indian National Congress is going to win the election. Why people were thinking in that way? Because of the legacy, because it inherited the legacy of the national movement. The national movement was started, and all the movement took place in the leadership of Congress only. It was the only party then to have an organization spread all over the country. So, what was the uh, advantageous position of the Congress? Why the Congress uh, mm, was dominating in the first three general election? The first reason is it had inherited the legacy of the national movement. Then it was the only party then to have an organization spread all over the country. It was only Congress which was uh, present in all parts of the country. It was its organizations were there in all parts of the country. And finally, Jawaharlal Nehru, the party had the most popular and charismatic leader in Indian politics. So, uh, the leadership of the Congress was in the hand of Jawaharlal Nehru, and Jawaharlal Nehru at that time he has popular support. People were uh, support people were liking him very much. There was a type of now we can say it hero worship was there, and he was the most popular and charismatic leader, and because of him also the Congress party was in advantageous position. So he led the Congress campaign on toured through the country. The campaigning of the Congress was done in the leadership of Pandit Nehru only. And he was not concerned with only any one part of the country, but he traveled all the country, throughout the country. And when the final results were declared, the extent of the victory of the Congress surprised many because the Congress won 364 seats of the total 489 seats. So you can just assume the extent of the victory of the Congress. In 489 total seat, Congress won 364. So this was a very great victory for the Congress. Okay, and there was at second position the party which was standing at the second position was Communist Party of India, and this party managed to get only 16 seats. So the party which was at the first position won 364 seats, and the party at the second position won 16 seats. So the margin, you can see the difference between the number of seats between the two difference between the number of seats of the two parties. This difference is proving the popularity of the Congress party. So the state elections also held uh, with the Lok Sabha. In this 1952 election, both the elections took place at the same time. The Lok Sabha election as well as the state legislative assembly election. Okay, and in states election also, Congress was a Congress won um, almost all the election only in Kerala and Jammu Kashmir. It was not able to win the election. It won a majority of seats in all the states. At that time, this Kerala was known as Travancore Cochin. Okay, at present we are knowing it by Kerala, but at that time it was known as Travancore Cochin. So it won a majority of seats in all the states except Kerala, Madras, and Odisha. Finally, even in these states, the Congress formed the government. So the party ruled all over the country at the national and the state level. As expected, Jawaharlal Nehru became the first the prime minister after the first general election. So we can see this is the map of India, and in this it is shown how many seats were won by uh, Congress. So, the yellow colored states are those states which were ruled by Congress from 1952 to 1967. This is the period of three elections. In 1952, one election, first election was held. Then in 1957, second election. Then in 1962, the third election was held. So we are considering all the three elections. In these three elections, all these states, we can see it here, which are presented in yellow color. All these states were ruled by Congress in all these years from 1952 to 1967. Then the state which is shown by red color, that is Kerala. Democratic Left Front was in power from 1957 to 1958. So, uh, in this state, what happened that Congress could not get majority of the seat, but it managed to form government and in the first general election. But in the second general election, the matter was different, and it will be discussed later. And what happened in Jammu Kashmir? Jammu and Kashmir was under the rule of National Congress. In Jammu and Kashmir, Congress was not able to gain majority, and there was the rule of National Conference. Okay, so this is the condition of India in the three general election, and this is the result of first general election. You can see it here. This is the seat won by uh, Congress. This is 364 in the first general election, 364. In the second general election, Congress won uh, 371 seats, and in the third general election, Congress won 361 seats. So, this is the majority. This is the condition of Congress, which it was able to win so many seats in the elections. Okay, now we will come to a look at the election map on the last page would give you a sense of the dominance of the Congress during the period 1952 to 62. This is the period of three elections. Okay. In the second and the third general election, which were held in 1957 and 1962, 1957 में second election and 1962 में third election, the Congress maintained the same position. You can see it. We have seen it now. It has won 371 seats in the second general election, and then 361 seats in the third general election. So there was no change in there was very nominal change in the number of seats Congress won in these three elections, and Congress was able to win the three-fourth of the seats. In order to form a government, what is required? The requirement is only simple majority, that is one more than half. But in these three elections, we see that Congress won three-fourth of the seats, and no opposition party was able to win even one-tenth of the number of seats won by the Congress. Whatever won by Congress, उसका one-tenth भी कोई भी जो other parties थे, they were not able to win. जैसे if Congress was getting 364 seats, then its 10% will be 36. So no other political parties were able to get the its 10% of its seats. So in the state assembly elections also, the Congress did not get a majority in few cases, and the one of the cases of Jammu Kashmir, where National Conference was ruling the state, and in 1957 Kerala was also not won by Congress. And in this, what happened that a uh, coalition government was formed in Kerala after the elections of the 1957, and This coalition government was led by CPI, Communist Party of India. This coalition was led by CPI. Apart from exceptions like this, the Congress controlled the national and all the state government. Some exceptions are there like Kerala, Jammu and Kashmir. Besides these, all the states and the center was in the rule of Congress during the three general elections. So, this is the condition of what we call it one party dominance. And this one party dominance was can be seen in the first three general election. And now we will discuss this in more detail in the next class.